Hi friends, welcome to Beautifully Bookish Bethany, where I have new videos every week about books and the geeky mom lifestyle. Today's video is the start of a mini vlog where I'm going to be watching a spooky movie that I have never seen before. But I don't know what movie it's gonna be yet because I'm letting my patrons vote on which movie it's gonna be. So today it's October 4th. I just put up a poll and so far I think I have one vote on it. And the way this works is patrons are gonna get to pick one of these 5 spooky films that I've shamefully have never seen, partly because my family was more conservative, so I didn't watch a lot of the stuff growing up. And then I was scared of spooky things for a long time, but I came up with 5 films that I have never seen and feel like I either should see at some point or really would like to see. And I thought doing a patron watch party would be a great way to do it, but how to decide? Well, I'm gonna let my patrons vote on it. I just put up this poll today and we'll see what they pick for me. The 5 movies that I know, guys, I know in the comments, I know people are gonna be shocked, but the 5 spooky movies that I have never seen that they're voting on are Hocus Pocus, Crimson Peak, Interview with a Vampire, Beetlejuice, and The Craft. So those are 5 films. I have to say, honestly, probably the one I'm least interested in seeing is Beetlejuice, but it's one of those ones, just because from clips I've seen, I have a feeling I'm not going to particularly enjoy that one, but it's one of those classics I feel like I should see at some point, so I did put it on the list. But all of the other 4 are things that I'm genuinely interested in watching. It's just, I just don't make time to see movies that often. I will check in with you guys later once I have the final tally in on votes. Very curious to see. Check in with you guys later. Hey guys, okay, so it is a few days later, the poll has ended, and I will show you the results on the screen. So clearly the winner here was Hocus Pocus, which I'm kind of excited about. That's probably the most fun of the picks on this list, and I think it'll make for a good movie night. However, there were 3 votes for The Craft, so I'm thinking for the purposes of this vlog, maybe I will also watch The Craft and let you guys know how I do with it. Maybe I'll even do more. We'll see how I'm feeling once I do the first 2. But October 16th is going to be our patron watch party for Hocus Pocus. I'll find a time to also watch The Craft, and maybe I'll sneak in a couple others and I'll let you guys know how it goes. Hey guys, so it is October 15th. We're doing an at-home date night and we've decided we're gonna watch Interview with the Vampire, which you've never seen either, yeah?
I've never seen it.
But it's like one of those iconic things. So it's gonna be Tom Cruise what do you call it? He's known for.
This was pre-Scientology? I think he's always in Scientology.
No, it's pre-Scientology.
When did he join Scientology?
After this.
Okay.
So
I can see it now.
Yeah, so we're gonna get Tom Cruise pre-Scientology. A young Brad Pitt, I think, is also in it. And I don't know who else. So this should be interesting. We'll let you know what we think.
Okay.
They used to have like these like super long credits.
Yep.
Oh gosh, okay.
It's the 90s, right?
Yep. It is, the 90s. Ooh, Antonio Banderas. I didn't know he was in this. I like Antonio Banderas. Christian Slater. Wow. Okay.
He's still alive?
Okay, so we finished it. That was interesting.
Interesting, yes.
It was not what I was expecting. I don't know what I expected, but not what we got. I mean, I think like the thing that we kept saying, which I think is probably true, is in some ways this feels like a 90s version of ideas about homosexuality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's
not written by a homosexual, probably.
Right. No, Anne Rice is definitely not. So that's kind of what it looks like, which is interesting. I feel like now I understand though why I never probably saw it growing up, because I'm like, oh, I get it. This would have been really controversial. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that you have 3 of the like big, well-known heartthrob actors of the time playing these like very homoerotic roles. I don't know if I would watch it again. Probably not. But I'm glad I've seen it at least once, because I feel like it's kind of a iconic.
Yeah, I think there were some references that referred in other movies, I think.
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot of exploitation of people, and I feel like I would be interested actually in watching a video of somebody like unpacked the racist and misogynistic stuff in this because I feel like there's kind of a lot of it, and I can't tell how much of it is like there on purpose or not. I don't know. It's interesting. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, I don't think any of the. I think all the voodoo stuff was on purpose, but I don't make him in it as a subversive. Like, look at all these people thinking about voodoo black people. I think it's made by people who were for that.
Well, I mean, the thing that, like, one of the things that was weird, right, is there's the scene where he's still at the plantation that he owns, so he owns all these slaves. And then there's the whole thing of the woman that he almost kills, who is like, oh, no, be the master that we had. And I'm like, this seems like it's really romanticizing slavery.
Yeah.
So there's that. So it was an interesting experience. Yeah, I'm glad I at least like now know what this thing is, but I don't think I'm gonna watch it again. That was interesting. Hopefully Hocus Pocus tomorrow night is better. I think it will be.
Are there any black people in Hocus Pocus?
I don't know. That's a good question.
So you don't have to worry about exploitation.
There you go. Okay, well, that was an experience. I'm sure you all have other thoughts. Let us know in the comments, I guess, and good night.
Good night.
Hey guys, so it's the next morning. 2 reasons I'm on here. Number 1, tonight is patron movie night for Hocus Pocus, so we're watching that tonight. And also, I was so tired last night, I don't know what I said on here exactly, so I thought I would get on here and give you a few thoughts now that I've had some time to process Interview with a Vampire. And also, actually, after finishing it, I was like, I need to watch somebody else talk about this. And I watched a really interesting video that I will link up above if you haven't seen it, where it was comparing the book versus the movie and talking about the adaptation and what things were in the book and what things were not and what things were left out. In general, it does seem like it was a fairly faithful adaptation of the book in a lot of ways. And that was really interesting, watching that and kind of processing. I think the more I let it sit, I can see why this became such an iconic film. Yeah, it's a really interesting one. I think it would have horrified me as a teenager, being the person I was. There's no way I would have like watched it when I was younger, but I can see how it's the sort of thing that would definitely stick with you, especially if you did see it younger. Would I, like, and I'll revisit the question, like, would I watch this again? Maybe. It's not something that's a new favorite that I would go out of my way to see again, but I could see it being an interesting experience, rewatching it, kind of knowing what happens. I would love to see somebody really pull the entire thing apart. I think that would be so interesting. Like, Marinez from My Name is Marinez has a podcast called Snark Squad where they kind of do that to different media properties, and I checked to see if they've done Interview with a Vampire and they have not, but that would be super interesting to hear people kind of break down and talk about all of the different pieces of it. I do still feel like there's a lot in here that is messy or questionable in terms of its representation of things. And I don't know how much of that is the movie and how much of that is the author. I've never read anything from Anne Rice, but because of that, I don't really know what her perspective on a lot of stuff is. One thing that was interesting in the video that I watched is that apparently this book was written after she tragically lost her daughter, I think to cancer when she was pretty young. And so a lot of this was an outpouring of her grief, which is really interesting. And the fact that the little girl was only like 5 years old in the book, apparently, and for obvious reasons, they kind of didn't translate it the same on screen. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It kind of makes me want to read the book and see kind of what I take away from it. This was very interesting. Let me know your thoughts. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? I will say I didn't love the fact that all of the women end up basically dying or meeting tragic ends. There's a lot of violence against women in this. Also, all of the people of color are victims. And so would this get made the same way today? I don't know. It's an interesting one that I have mixed feelings about, and I think coming to it now in 2020 is very different, where I'm like, okay, we're like, who are we centering here and why? It feels very much like a product of its time, which is interesting. So anyway, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts on this, and they're not very coherent, but maybe more so than last night when I was really tired. So there you go. We'll see how my editing magic makes this work. I will check in with you guys tonight for Hocus Pocus. All right, it is Hocus Pocus movie night starting in about 10 minutes. I'm gonna grab a drink and then we're going to watch this film. All right, so we just finished our watch party. We had fun chatting through it. That was really fun, very silly, very over the top. It looked like the actors probably had a blast playing the witches, and it was kind of funny to see Sarah Jessica Parker in this kind of role. Yeah, it was a good time. It's very 90s fashion and jokes, and like, I don't know, maybe I'll talk more about it when I do the wrap up, but overall, it was fun. I see the appeal. I was such a wimp about scary stuff when I was a kid, though. I probably still would have been too freaked out by like some of the scarier scenes, but yeah, that was fun. So, 2 movies down, guys. So tonight, I'm on this live stream celebrating Izzy's 1K subscribers, reading my reread of Where Dreams Descend, and then after this I'm planning on watching a movie. Hello everybody! So it is Saturday night. I just got done doing reading sprints over on Izzy's channel, and now we are gonna watch The Craft. I also recently saw there's previews for a new and updated version of The Craft coming out soon, so maybe I'll have to do like a comparison video since I'm watching the old one for the first time, but that is what we're gonna see tonight, so let's go. Okay, so The Craft came out in 1996. I would have been 9, so I definitely did not see this. Based on the trailer, I'm expecting cheesy 90s teen stuff. Also based on the trailer, this would have terrified me as a teenager because I was such a wimp, but we are watching it now, so here we go. Okay, so just finished watching The Craft. I am actually surprised. I was expecting something kind of cheesy and silly, and it wasn't. It was actually a pretty good movie and an interesting one thematically. I feel like I see the appeal of this in terms of it really being about teen girls who feel powerless in the face of everything ranging from depression to racism and misogyny and medical issues, and seeking power and ways of fighting back against those things. And of course, in this case, everything goes really wrong. I don't know how I feel about the ending of the movie, but as a whole, I actually really like this. Like, this was kind of a pleasant surprise. It was really interesting, and I think, like, speaking to some stuff, I'm really curious to see what they're gonna do with the remake of it. Yeah, it was intense though. I mean, there's like an almost rape scene, which is a lot. I'm curious now. I really want to see the remake because I want to see what they're going to do with it in 2020. Maybe I'll have more thoughts in my wrap up, but yeah, I liked this better than I thought I was going to. It was an interesting one. Hello, I'm here for the final movie I'm gonna watch. It turns out I'm gonna watch like 4 of these things. So tonight I'm gonna be watching Crimson Peak, which I'm excited for. I have had many people recommend this movie to me over the years, probably because it's like a gothic horror with romantic elements, I think. And y'all know I'm a fan of gothic horror, so this should be fun. I will let you know what I think, and then sometime in the next couple days, I will do a final wrap up with my thoughts and maybe force ranking all 4 of these movies. Let's watch Crimson Peak. Oh my goodness, what a beginning, jeez. Okay, here we go. Oh man, okay, so I just finished Crimson Peak. What a quintessentially gothic horror film. Yeah, it was really good. I actually think Tom Hiddleston was very, very well cast for this role too. He does such a good job of being like really believable at being both creepy and like actually falling for the woman he's married. I don't want to put too many like spoilers in here, but yeah, I really liked it, and visually it was stunning, really beautiful, intense ending. I kind of knew what was going to happen because I think I read up on it a few years ago. I didn't remember all the details, but I'm kind of glad I did. But yeah, it was good. I liked it. So people were right who recommended it. I liked it. All right, I'll be back for a final wrap up. All right, time to go ahead and wrap up this vlog. So I ended up watching 4 movies, which was way more than I expected. That's probably like as many movies as I've seen in the entire year, practically all in 1 month. So I'm pretty proud of myself. And I feel very accomplished. I have now watched 4 movies that people have been telling me I should watch for a very long time. Final thoughts on it. Okay, so I think the most surprising of them was The Craft. I went in expecting it to be kind of a weird, cheesy 90s teen movie, and it was a lot more than that. It had a lot of depth in terms of the topics that it was tackling, and I see the appeal of it. I see why it would really resonate with you, especially as a teenager. I also see why I didn't watch any of these when I was younger. I mean, Crimson Peak came out when I was older anyway, so it's, but for the 3 that came out earlier, I totally see why I didn't see them previously. Like, they would have either scared me or freaked me out. My parents would have been like, no. So I would say Hocus Pocus is obviously the most fun, and Crimson Peak was probably the most what I expected. Like, it was what I expected. It was well done. It was beautifully shot. I really enjoyed it, and I thought the casting was fantastic. The acting was really good. I'm kind of glad I knew spoilers going into that, though, because I think I would have been, I don't know, maybe more grossed out if I hadn't kind of already known what the deal with that movie was. But if you've seen it, you know. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Trigger warnings, guys. Trigger warnings for Crimson Peak. But yeah, I really enjoyed them. Okay, so if I was going to force rank them, oh, that's rough. It's hard because I like them for different things. Maybe unsurprisingly, probably my least favorite of the bunch was Interview with a Vampire. It's a really interesting one, though. I see why it's iconic, and it's one that I would love to see somebody really dig into and talk about in more depth, because I think there's a lot to unpack there. So I'm not upset that I saw it. I'm glad that I saw it, even if it was maybe my least favorite. It was interesting. It was such a time capsule in some ways. Then I would say Hocus Pocus, which maybe is surprising. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It's another one that's like a time capsule. Like, all of the jokes about how terrible it is that like this teen boy is a virgin, like, that's supposed to be funny, but it's really only funny because of misogyny. So there's that. But I really enjoyed The Witches. I think they clearly had a lot of fun filming that movie, and it was fun to watch them, and I see the appeal of it. So I didn't dislike it. I liked it, but maybe not a favorite. And then, I don't know, I'm kind of split on where to put Crimson Peak and The Craft. Crimson Peak is just visually stunning, really well done, and I liked it. It's definitely my brand of gothic. But I might actually put The Craft at the top, which is shocking to me, just because I think it does such a good job of getting at the anger and the helplessness that you can feel as a teenager, or just as a person, as a woman, as a person of color, as somebody who's dealing with things that are outside of your control, or dealing with hateful things in the world. And I think it's really powerful. So I'm super curious to see what they do with the remake. And I think I'm probably going to do kind of a discussion, like watch the remake and see what they do. One thing I did want to say that I think is kind of interesting is I feel like the actors that they picked for the new version look much more like teenagers, whereas it's pretty damn obvious that none of the actors in the original were actually in high school. They don't look like it. But I think that's also probably something they needed to do because of some of the content that was going to be in it. So yeah, it was a really interesting one. I'm glad that I saw all of them. I feel like I now have a better handle on things that are culturally pretty relevant. They get talked about a lot, and I'm proud of myself for actually watching some movies, guys, and not just reading books. And shockingly, my reading hasn't suffered that much this month either. So let me know what you guys thought of this, if you have thoughts on the movies that I watched, if this is something you'd be interested in seeing me do something like again, because there's probably a lot of other movies that I've never seen. And this might be an interesting way to vlog the experience of watching things that I've always kind of meant to see and just never got around to. So let me know if this is something you'd want to see more of. Talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know any of your thoughts or feelings on anything I talked about in this video. And for your question of the day, let me know what is a movie that was culturally iconic that you never saw or didn't see until you were an adult. Let me know about that in the comments down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.